Welcome to Soul Nutrition, where we discuss the various ways of nourishing our souls. I'm your host, author, speaker, and coach, Reina Rose. Today's guest is Scott Ferguson. If you don't already know Scott, make sure to check him out as soon as possible. Scott Ferguson is an active podcaster who helps audiences level up in every way. As a U.S. Navy veteran and real estate expert who helps people navigate even the toughest times in the real estate world, Scott is consistently finding new ways to add value to the lives of others. As a born-again Christian from the age of 7, Scott uses his own journey of faith and experiences with trying to do it all on his own to minister to small groups and participate as a volunteer for church functions at Christ Fellowship in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. Scott, it's such a joy to have you on the show today.
Yay! Thank you for having me, Rockstar. You're the best.
Oh, yeah. So for those of you out there, Scott had me on his podcast and Time to Shine podcast. Make sure to check it out. And we just had such an amazing discussion. I wanted to keep the conversation going. So
Yay.
I said, you have to come on my show. We have so much to talk about. And I know that God will just lead our conversations and the audience will be blessed. So those of you out there watching, get ready for some amazing knowledge nuggets, some wisdom, and that's Scott's coined term right there. We got some knowledge nuggets dropping for you.
That's right.
And I know you're going to learn and you're going to benefit from this episode. So Scott, tell our audience a little bit about your background. How did you get to be this real estate expert, podcast author now coming up? You've got a book coming out soon. Just helping people level up in every way. How did that come about?
I'll kind of give you the quick version. There's a lot of stuff that happened with, I was born in 1972, kind of during the Vietnam era. I was born in the Philippines. My mother was Filipino. My father was an American GI. My father got killed in Vietnam. And my mother, who was pregnant with me, at that time, it was mixed breed bastard children were really frowned upon by the Philippine government. And what happens is you see these American mixed babies. We grew up but this was their reasoning, that grew up so big that they were afraid that we would physically take over the island. I know it's crazy to think about, but that was their thought at the time. So I got adopted by a family from another Air Force veteran that was stationed there. They got a temporary visa to take me home because the veteran's spouse, father got sick. So they brought me back to California. Her father died and they couldn't raise me. She went schizophrenic. There was kind of crazy. So I ended up in a little orphanage out there in California. Got a couple who I call my mother and father, could not have children. They were looking to adopt. I was going on about 2 years old at the time. And they flew me from Los Angeles to Cincinnati, Ohio. And I got picked up there by who I call my mother and father now. And they almost got arrested because they thought they were doing some child smuggling and going on, but all the papers were intact. So they took me back up to Detroit, Michigan, where I grew up. And they went through the whole process of getting me the adoption finalized, which happened in 1975. So I was almost 4 years, almost 1976. And my mother and father that were adopting me, they got divorced. And my father was a Vietnam veteran, a real heavy drinker. He doesn't mind me telling this, by the way. Real heavy drinker. And he couldn't raise me. So I went to live with another family and they raised me. They were great, super Christian, which we'll get into, Baptist, hardcore, very militant. I love them, but at the time couldn't stand them because they're very much disciplinarians. And then from there I went to the Navy, found a new family, got out. And because of my story, like I actually got approached by kind of celebrities because there's a lot of these Vietnam area babies, talk show hosts like Sally Jesse Raphael, Johnny Jones, Montel Williams, and stuff like that to kind of come on and share a story. I wasn't ready then. Yeah. So, I'm coming up close to, 50 years old now. And I was like, you know what? I really want to get the story out because I went through a lot of abandonment in my life. And, I sought out counseling and psychologists for it. And so in my church as well
Mm-hmm.
really helped me out. So Time to Shine today started as a company to help you make your first dollar online, but then it evolved into having, earners on there, $500,000 to $1 million a year earners. And they're like, you know what, we love what you do. We love the content you're putting out, but could you start like something where you can bring on other people to help level up? So that's where I reached out to people like you and others and started a podcast in December of 2019. I dropped number 97 today, and we have
Amazing.
north of like a lot of downloads. We'll just say that I lucked out with that. We have over 50,000 subscribers to Time to Shine today. But our credo motto, if you will, is we don't want anyone to feel like they have no one. So if you're battling depression, I have somebody to send you to. If you are looking to level up your business, you're at that level and you're ready to go up another level, I have coaches, mentors that I can put you with. So at Time to Shine today, we're a connection carousel for people, so nobody is left out. If you're having suicidal thoughts, I have a gentleman like Jason Holzer who deals specifically in that, and I can send them to them. So no matter where you're at in life, we can help you level up. So that's where it is. And for the real estate is, I didn't want to have a boss anymore out of the Navy. In real estate, you don't have to have a degree. You just have to grind. And I grinded all for myself for a long time, and didn't do it in the service of others. And God had a different plan for me and made sure I lost everything so I could rebuild it. And now, with that came a lot of the go-giving and being able to help people level up their income and their life through real estate investing, and also help, people find and buy and sell their houses. So it's just a blessing across the board.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I love your story, because when you help people connect with that person that helps with the suicidal thoughts, or that person who helps them level up their business, none of it's from a place of judgment, because you've been in all these places that you're like, I've built my business to be a millionaire and lost it all. I've had to build it again. And I've, had all these abandonment issues, and the people who helped me is how I've gotten to this place that I'm at today. And so let me help you find someone who can help you so that you can level up too.
Sure. Right. And it just builds that community, you're as successful. I'm doing air quotes here if you're just listening. You're as successful as the 5 people you surround yourself most with. And if you're kind of not soaring with the eagles, like people like you, and then other people, you're kind of squabbling on the ground for crumbs. And I just don't think that as human beings, we're wired to do that. I think that we're wired to serve people. I think that we're wired to achieve and accept abundance that God's showering on us, period.
Absolutely. That verse about soaring on wings like eagles is always on the forefront of my mind.
Sure.
Actually, I heard Joel Osteen do a sermon where he was talking about, just because you were raised with chickens, just because, you might have spent a lot of your life around chickens, you might start pecking on the ground thinking that you're a chicken, but, flap those wings, get them strong, and soar with the eagles, and you'll find a whole new crowd that soars above the clouds.
Right.
I saw a really cool thing on eagles the other day. I mean, it's just incredible. And to think that the Bible compares us to mounting up with wings like eagles, and their wingspan and the strength and the soaring, and how the efficiency of it.
Right.
I'm like, wow, that's what we're called to do as believers, is to spread that wingspan, use it effectively and efficiently, and soar above, a bird's eye of the problem. But when we're squabbling in our, and all these things that we need to
the view never changes
to help. Yeah, like the things that you're talking about, if I'm squabbling in my anxieties and my depression, like some of those things, you need to get very professional stuff for.
Well, that's what we're here for. Time to shine today,
And even the things that aren't clinical, we need to, rise up out of those things, and that takes a multitude of wise counselors.
It does. It does. And that's where, my favorite song, Christian song, is by Hillsong, and it's Everlasting God. And he talks about soaring like an eagle. And that's, I just think that the view changes daily, and that if you're not trying to achieve greatness every day, I believe it's a sin, because God's given you, again, that's my thought, God's given you the ability. And, sin, even the root word of sin just comes from the Greek word missing the mark.
That's right.
So it's like, it doesn't mean you're a bad person. It's just you're missing the mark of what you can become. So just get out there and seek the people. And like my good friend Leah Woodford would say, and your good friend as well, is, get your asking gear. Get out there and ask for the people. And that's at time to shine, is we're asking you to come ask us to put you together with the right person to level you up.
It's funny because I haven't even sent you a copy of the book that's coming out yet.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the book Sin Tastes Good that I'm working on right now with a new publisher. And what I talk about is exactly that. First of all, sin simply means to miss the mark. We don't need to add guilt and shame to that.
Sure.
Because when we add guilt and shame, we go, oh, I stink at this, and we walk off the field, instead of correcting aim and getting better every time.
Get better. Yeah.
And then I also brought up, and this could be completely heretical, but I like to say it anyway, is that I really believe the first sin, original sin, was not actually eating the fruit. I believe the first place they missed the mark was forgetting who they are and whose they are.
Sure.
Because if they would have, like Christ did later, say, when the tempter comes up and says, hey, you can be like God if you have this fruit, they'd be like, we already are like God. We're made in his image. Like,
we are.
Breath into us. We don't need to eat a fruit for that.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
So I think the first place they missed the mark was forgetting, oh, wait, we have been made by this creator who created everything. He made us in his image to create stuff too, which is what we need to remember, is like, we're creative beings. The creator created the heavens and the earth and the sun and the sky and said it was all good, and then created us in his image.
Absolutely.
And so if we're not out there creating, we are misrepresenting the image of God.
You're sinning.
Yeah. We're missing the mark for sure.
I'm sorry, but it hits it. It hits the mark. If I'm not serving as many people as I can every day, and knowing that the reciprocation is going to come to me no matter what, and it doesn't have to come to me monetarily. It could come to me where you reach out to me. Like, I could do a great deed for somebody, and then Reina reaches out just to say hi. That is a reciprocation. You have to be open to any and all abundance that God showers on you, period.
Absolutely.
So. Yeah, my goddaughter called me the other day, and it wasn't even Father's Day. It wasn't Christmas.
Aww.
It wasn't anything. So I was just like, wow. Then I remembered I also stopped on the side of the road and helped a person, like, put a tire on a car, and it's just like, he's like, I can't give you, I don't want anything. You're good. Luckily my dad taught me one thing. I stink at anything else mechanically, but I could change a tire. And I was able to do it for the guy. He's like, I can't. I'm like, don't even worry about it. Next thing you know, like 10 minutes later, my goddaughter's calling. Hey, Poppy. I'm like, whoa. You never call. I'm like, everything good? Need money? Anything? She's like, no, I just want to chat. I'm like, all right, thank you.
Amen. Yeah. And that's the thing. Like I talk about, I have these orphanages I work with overseas, and when I go there, I'm going to bless them, but really they bless me so much more than I could ever give.
Sure.
And I leave there, you talk about that sense of family and that tightness of never feeling abandoned by them. Sure. They're like, so I can't even, it's indescribable when I go over there. And it started out as mission trips, and now when people go, oh, you're going on a mission trip, I'm like, I'm going over there, and all my friends just happen to be Russian, like orphans, but I just consider it going to see my friends.
Yeah. Going to receive your blessings, for sure. I mean, that's everything. And that's one thing I never did before. I was so close-minded. I was, saying, how can I be the lead dog? And I used to say, the view never changes if you're not the lead dog, and it just, what happens when you take that mindset is you're not open to the blessings from the people that you meet and the people that can help level you up in every part of your life, like you're allowing the people over there to do for you. So it took me a minute to get open. I rebelled against religion really bad because of how I was raised. But then, a couple people were placed in my life, and it allows me to rekindle a relationship with God. It's like God was just like, hey man, I'm here. I've been waiting. I haven't been anywhere. There's been an opportunity or things that would happen in your life that, you don't know how you got through it, but I was there. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's a lot of blessings. Absolutely. It's a lot easier when you have a relationship with God. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot easier in
Even
life,
like just
period.
mentally, like I was actually praying this morning about how God is so faithful. We have no need to fear. But
Exactly.
thank you for your grace and mercy when we do fall into fear. Anyway, but when you know you're walking with God and you can remind yourself how faithful he's been in the past and how he's going to be faithful again, you don't need to worry about, oh, is this thing going to work out? Because if it doesn't
Right.
work out, he has something better. And you just know that.
Something else, something's better just there.
Yeah.
And it's all about wiring and mindset. And I have to work on that every day because that, I have the relationship with God, just because I'm surrounding myself with the right people. I still have my weak moments,
Of
but
course.
acknowledging them and just being okay with it and saying it's going to be good. Everything's going to work out, and enjoy this part of the journey as well as the good parts, because there's so many knowledge nuggets that are in that part of the struggle that you can learn from and pull forward. And as you mentor others, you can pass on those knowledge nuggets to others. And then in turn, you become immortal by mentoring a lot of people. So part of my legacy is I want to be immortal through the people that I mentor, period.
That's right. And then you also have the opposite where you're interviewing people and you have mentors. And so, that knowledge is coming into you and giving you more to be able to leave that legacy with.
Would I bring people on to Time to Shine today? Again, the podcast is like 6.5 months old, and I've got almost 100 interviews. I will be dropping my 100th interview next week.
Wow.
And people are like, well, you do that. That's awesome. You're not like, I got sponsors now, blah, blah, blah. So I'm making some money with it. But like, I don't charge anybody, come on. But the way I look at it, Reina, is it's a free masterclass for me.
It is.
And for my listeners. Like, I have people like you that came on and dropping knowledge nuggets, and in the things that I can pay forward to my squad, my listeners, I call them my squad, that, for free. And I get these random emails from people that I have no idea how they got on my list in 2011 maybe, and say, you know what, I came back to you because of you're just having these phenomenal people that are on there just giving. Because every podcast, sure, you're there trying to get your name out, and that's fine and dandy. There's nothing selfish about that. You want to level up, but you're giving away free information, and things that are going to help people level up.
Absolutely.
So it's.
And like you said, you can do something that's like, in a way, when I teach like vision classes of creating a vision, whether that's a vision board or statement or whatever,
sure.
I'm like, a lot of times it starts out kind of selfishly, like, okay, I'm either getting my name out there or I want to have this masterclass with this person. So I'm going to bring them on my show and learn so much.
Yeah.
But it blesses everyone who listens to it. And so it's like, I wanted to do this thing. And I think a lot of times, when God puts visions on our hearts, we think it's only for us, but it's always for the greater good of everyone. And as we level up and we share that, and as we learn and we get to share that, everyone else benefits from those, knowledge nuggets dropping all over the place like rain.
Absolutely. And it's a lot of people want to rush the greatness, like we say at Time to Shine today, and it's something I picked up from a friend of mine, Rod Harrison, that owns a company called Envision You, is that inch by inch, it's a cinch, by the yard, it's hard. And if you pray every day and you ask for what you want and be bold with it, and understand that it's not going to happen right away. And someone that was really, really intelligent told me that sometimes you need to learn to pause and really enjoy the slower seasons. I wonder who that was.
That?
No, but I remember somebody that came on. I don't know. It was one of those episodes, I think maybe episode 50 or 60 or something like that. No, but
well, I mean, that's all from my mentor, Chuck Smith Jr. So I can't take credit from it. It's just
right.
Again,
but that's the stuff that I get, Reina, from people. I mean, you said also something about the grass is always greener where you water it or something like that. And it's like stuff like that sticks in my head and allows me to level up and just kind of say, okay, dude, I have a connection carousel now of just boom, boom, boom. And that's what I did at Time to Shine today. I want to continue it. I want 1,000 episodes of 1,000 different people kind of coming in, but also it just enhances my connection carousel, being able to put people with the right people as they come along. Now, if someone has a product and a program, they want to put together a funnel system into my list and to other people, then yeah, it'd be great to get some monetary from it, but it's, other than that, it's fun. And it's like therapy for me as well, in a sense, for free. You know
Absolutely.
what I'm saying? It just is. It's free therapy. The more people I interview, the more knowledge nuggets I pick up, and it actually keeps me on point. Period. So,
and then you even have your audience to be accountable for, that you're living that out, right? So
yes,
you have the people coming in who you're getting the knowledge from, and then you're mentoring people in your close circle, and you're also, having to really be that cut above, as you are an example to your audience of living that out humbly and vulnerably. Like you said, there's days that's not the case, and that's where we can truly be. I read about this in that book I mentioned, that there was a time, and I think a lot of us have this, where, or a lot, maybe all, maybe some, but where there's a point in our lives where we haven't had the therapy yet, where we haven't had the professional help, where Pandora's box is just too dangerous to go into by ourselves. And I would almost say you have to stay on the surface, because that's just not somewhere you can go alone. You need a guide,
right?
And whether that's a therapist or a coach or whatever it is. And so we stay, like in this rainbows and sunshine, and, or some people can complain all the time about everything. But, like for those of us who are positive, it's like we just stay in this place of affirmations, and we never think of what could be in here,
Right.
And once you have those professionals come in and help you unpack this, then it's like, okay, here's the junk I've been through, and it's sometimes still there. Actually, I've had to put it away in different places, but God has healed me from all of it. And sometimes it still comes back, but I know who I can go to if it's really rearing up again. I know what I need to do if it's just starting to niggle in the corner again. And it's kind of like the Bible talks about Satan can be like a roaring lion, right? But he's in a cage, right? But sometimes still it's kind of scary in the cage. And so to have someone come say, it's just in a cage, walk away from the cage.
Yeah.
You're fine.
Keep progressing. If you fail forward. Like a lot of times, a lot of people, they have their ego that just gets, that they, ego is, we say time to shine today. And something that I've learned is, EGO, edging God out. And so, that's what we were doing that time. He's still there. He's still carrying you. But when you edge God out, you don't have the fulfillment in life of actually enjoying. I mean, I was printing money, and I didn't enjoy anything at all. I was always out for the kill. And, I even had a company called Vulture Capital, where I'd prey on other people's misfortunes, of losing their house, and I would swoop in and buy it out from. It was terrible. I look back, and it was all part of it, but it was a lot of ego, and God had to put me in check, edging God out. So, that's the first thing that I have it right on the top of my monitor is EGO. And, anytime I come into a situation, because I'm a residential real estate agent by trade, that's what I've been doing for 22 years. And I will come into a situation where I have a agent and I are going to go to blows, for lack of a better term, on a real estate transaction. But if I look at that before I make that call, the call goes a lot differently, because it keeps God present, period. I mean, he's omnipresent anyways, but it keeps him at the forefront. It's kind of like the subconscious mind controls everything, and you have to be that gatekeeper, so that I've always been competitive. And because I was abandoned, and because I was passed around from family to family, I had that competitive edge to where I could be very lacy, mean with my tongue, so that if I check myself before I make that phone call, I mean, that keeps God present at the forefront, the gatekeeper and whatnot. Absolutely. If that makes sense to you.
Yeah, no, I've heard some different pastors and theologians talk about when we read about, and the Israelites forgot God. It wasn't that they literally forgot who he was and who he was there. It was just like you're saying, he was no longer at the forefront of their mind, their decisions, the things that they did. They're just, that's our God, just like anything else, just like Baal is that person's God, rather than he's our God. We come to him for decisions. If we go into battle of any sort, battle with another real estate agent, battle with whatever. We come to God first and lead that. And I love that edging God out is ego. I've heard ego as
Mm-hmm.
the flesh in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard that interpretation when Paul's talking about the flesh. Think about
Mm-hmm.
ego. And then even the opposite of that, when we think about righteousness, being
Mm-hmm.
in right relationship. So rather than thinking,
Right.
oh, I'm so righteous, but I'm in right
Right.
relationship. You know, I'm
Yeah.
coming in here, loving this other person, loving the person God created me to be,
Right.
and being in right relationship with all parties involved. This is where we edge God back in.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Love it.
Yeah. So tell us, for those who maybe have either are or have had times where they've gone a little prodigal, tell us about the times that, you know, you've tried to do it on your own, and what really brought you. I know you said you had some people come into your life. Was there kind of an aha moment of, yeah, I can't do this on my own? Or was it really a inch by inch, it's a cinch?
Yeah, and it's funny, you know, there's a follow up to inch by inch is a cinch, is by the yard it's hard. You
Right.
know, trying to do so much, and I didn't think that, you know, I said God provided for me, I got it from here, boom, you know, I take off. I wasn't doing anything in the service of others. I was doing it in the service for me, and I believe selfishness is a good virtue. To take care of yourself so you can help serve others, you know, like
Right.
the whole, you're a high-end flight attendant for a long time, and you know, you're always telling people put yours on first before you help others. And
That's
so I
right.
believe that was the premise, but I was putting mine on and looking around going, good luck. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
and then the I guess if you want to call it kind of a turning point, like I was an imposter. I got brought back to church by an ex-girlfriend who still remains a really dear friend of mine. And she brought me into a church in Novi, Michigan called Oak Point. Great church. And it was a Super Bowl Sunday, and I'm like, yeah, let's go to church. I'll go to church with you. First started dating, you know. And
Yeah.
I still had all my money. It was great. And I'm like, yeah, she was hot, you know, so church with her, right? So I
Thank
go
you,
there.
Jesus.
There was a story about that. It was like you know, he had the senior pastor, second pastor, and third pastor. And it was like the third pastor was up there speaking because it was Super Bowl Sunday. No one else wanted to do anything, right? So, but he had this story that resonated with me about, you know, a man that he picked up on the Jersey Turnpike when he was basically becoming a pastor.
Mhm.
And I think it was at maybe Moody in Philadelphia. And the story that the gentleman told me, I was like, man, this all resonates. So I'm like, oh, I want to start going to church. And me and Christina never worked out, but we went to the same church and we'd say each other. But I became an imposter, meaning I was just showing up there. You know, I was putting God in that box, boom, opening them up on Sunday. And then
Oh,
I
yeah.
mentored teens on Wednesday, you know, so I'd open up that box and, you know, and there, but God went back in the box. And then in 2009, I got a call on Memorial Day of 2009, and my dad said Tommy killed himself, my little brother. And I thought, whoa. And it was a really rough. He's 8 years younger. We were tight for that age gap. And so then I went to New Hope, which is in around Detroit area. And it's basically a grief counseling. And then Kathy Clow there, who bless her heart, basically put me with the right people, which in turn got rid of the kind of imposter syndrome. And I had a lot of arguments with God.
Yeah.
And I was mad at him, and I had a lot of arguments. But then he put the people in my life that, you know, I just said, you know, lack of a better term, I said, F it. It's all yours. Do whatever you want. And once I submitted to that, then he started putting the people into my life and bringing people back that I hadn't. And I made amends with the people that I needed to. And I kind of came back, and at that time, the housing market had crashed. I'd lost everything. And then he put the people in my life to really rebuild a business on the service of others. So what I did is I helped people in short sale situations where they owed a lot more on their house than what it was worth.
Yeah.
And I hired it was funny because, you know, I'm a Christian. The attorney that I aligned with was a Jew, big bad wolf, you know, Jack Wolf. He's like 6'8", wore the, you know, the yarmulke or the beanie or whatever. Sorry. And, but it had him. And then our closing company was Muslim. So you had this trifecta of people
Wow.
that were all together helping others, getting them out of it. Because at the time, President Obama was bailing out the banks. So the banks were approving short sales a lot faster. Before it would take 6-7 months for short sales. We were getting them approved in 2 months. So I was able to take people that had dual incomes because they could buy a second house, short sale the other house, keep the foreclosure off their record, and have no deficiency at the end, no tax ramifications. I was able to help people, which it allowed me to move to South Florida, where if I had more family on the left coast out where you are, I would be there in a heartbeat. I'd be back in San Diego. I think I told you my will. My ashes are off the Sunset Cliffs, and they're in La Jolla. So
beautiful.
Literally, and I used to spend days and nights there when I was stationed there, just chilling. But the journey that I've had, and I'm just getting started. God willing, he doesn't take me in a car wreck or a plane crash or something like that. If he calls me home, that's fine. But if he doesn't, I'm going to help and touch as many lives as I can, period. And he's given me, I'm not going to say a second chance, because a chance, he opened up my eyes every single day. I just decided to embrace what he was giving me, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
So yeah, crushing it. I love it.
You touched on something we were talking about before the show. We just get talking. I was like, okay, we gotta pray and hit record.
I know.
we would have talked the whole hour, but we were talking about your experience in your tours overseas in the Navy, and 9/11 and losing friends, as well as kind of current events of what are going on now with not every cop kneels on people's necks, and not every Muslim is ISIS.
Sure.
Right. And so having this balance, so you're talking about, you had a Christian, a Jew, and a Muslim all working together in this trifecta.
Sure.
When did you learn that balance? Did you always kind of know, or did you go from a place, especially being on the front lines of battle, and 6 tours, did you say you took?
Yeah. Well, 4 deployments and 2 tours.
Yeah. So 4 deployments and 2 tours. Did you ever have a hatred there that you had to come to terms with, or were you always pretty accepting of people?
At the time, no, I hated them. No, it was, I didn't appreciate them. And it's what we were talking about was, when the towers hit, I lost 3 people in the Trade Center, 2 people in the Pentagon. And, I hated Muslims. I did at the time. But someone pulled me aside. And this is, again, when I wasn't hearing what God was saying at all. He just said, listen, not all Muslims are bad, brother. Only there's a very small amount that are.
Right.
So that kind of pulls forward to now I don't care what race, religion, anything. What happened to Mr. Floyd was atrocious. I don't think that anybody with light skin really says, oh, that's okay. I mean, what happened to him was absolutely crap. I can't, I marched. I mean, there's a peaceful protest here in South Florida. Some people are like, bro, you're kind of alt-right. I'm like, the guy's a human being.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
It doesn't matter where your politics are.
Doesn't matter.
Nobody can be okay with
or even
flat-out
what
murder.
Mr. Floyd allegedly did in his life. I don't care. It's still a human being that does never, nobody needs to go out like that. But I just hope and pray that this country would understand that not all police officers are like that, just like all Muslims were not like they
Absolutely.
are at 9/11. So, we have different characteristics that makes this Muslims different. I mean, the Muslim that did our closing work didn't shake hands. It was part of his custom. He did not shake hands, and I thought, man, what you do? You're in the United States. But you know what? I learned the reasoning and why, and how the no interest charging and like all kinds of really cool concepts. And once I opened up my mind to that, and when I started working with him was after 9/11, so it's like, again, God put him in my life,
Right.
and I didn't understand Jews either. Jewish people, I didn't understand them. Where they're coming from. And, I happened to be a personal trainer while I was getting my real estate business going. And one of my clients was Gary Shapiro. And he is a really high ranking in the Jewish community in Oakland County, Michigan, which is the 2nd biggest Jewish community in the whole United States behind New York. Believe it or not, it's even bigger than California and stuff. So it's the 2nd biggest in Bloomfield Hill, Michigan. And he just said, listen, man, we used to pool our money together and lend it out to people and make money off the interest. And then when Hitler found out about how powerful he did what he did. So I learned so much during personal training sessions.
Yeah.
It made me appreciate the Jewish culture as well.
You know,
So
we
it was
actually have a rabbi coming on in a few episodes from now.
Yeah.
Wrote a book called Thou Shalt Prosper and talks about
what's his name?
things. And I'll get you the info so that you have.
I read his book. Oh my gosh.
Oh, you have the book?
Send you his, I'm literally 10 Commandments on Making Money, right?
I think it might be. I know it's called Thou Shalt Prosper.
Thou Shalt Prosper, 10 Commandments by Daniel Lapin, right?
Yes, exactly. So he's coming on the show in about.
Man, oh my gosh, that is amazing.
Yes, I'm really excited, and he's going to be talking about all those biblical principles, why we see so many Jewish people prospering.
Yes, amazing. It was funny. I broke that down on my Kindle where I only read 1% a day. It's a big book. And so I read 1% a day, but the principles that Rabbi Lapin put out they're amazing. You know, and I was told by a Jewish person. No, I was told by a Christian to read that book.
Yeah.
Dude, his name, man. He's an awesome podcast, and I forgot who it is. I wasn't told by him. I heard it on a podcast, so I picked it up. But yeah, you're lucky.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
That's a great one.
Like you said, you were told by a Christian to read that book. And one of the things, because I actually grew up in a Muslim school, well, in a Muslim country, a British school, where I actually had the Sultan's Muslim children, so the princesses in my classes, right? And then kids from all kinds of cultures and religions. And one thing that, as I've studied Christianity growing up, it's like, okay, well, we come from the Jewish culture, right? Jesus was a Jew. Like our whole religion is founded on Judaism, essentially.
Right.
And then if we really go back all the way to Abraham, we look at Isaac and Ishmael, like Ishmael went off and became the Islamic culture. And so if we're talking about praying to God, of course, in Christianity, we have Christ, and we talk about, believing in Christ as God's son. But as far as arguing over the name of God or Allah, or, like, we're all sons of Abraham when it comes down to it. And part of like my world peace, if God could use me for anything, is like just bringing, not necessarily that we all agree with each other, but peace between these three monotheistic religions of the world that sometimes happen to war with each other. And it's usually because of those small group of people who are causing the problems, right?
Absolutely.
One person throws stones, the whole country's at war.
Right.
To bring some sort of peace and understanding. And if I could pass it past the network, I would have a Muslim on the show too, and so and talk about how we don't need to agree with each other to love one another and to be peaceful with one another.
In Paul's letter to the Romans, chapter 9 or 8, 9, he breaks that down about loving everybody, and he broke down all the way back to Abraham. That is that is probably one of my favorite passages of understanding quote unquote religion. Because he breaks it down to Muslims, he breaks it down to Christians, he breaks it down to Jews. So that's again, he wraps the chapter up with love, like Absolutely. What you just said. No matter what, you must love. And that's why, Romans is my favorite book in the Bible. So, period.
And I love, when I think about when Christ is asked by the Pharisees if, what, or the religious leader, I think it was Pharisees or Sadducees. Anyway, they say, what's the greatest commandment? Tell us which one. And he says, love God and love your neighbor, because all the other commandments rest on this. Because, you're not going to go cheat with your neighbor's wife if you love God and you love that person.
Exactly.
You're not going to covet their stuff and be jealous. You're going to be happy for them because you love God and you love them. All of these other commandments, you're not going to kill them because you love God, you love them. You don't even need to think of the other ones because they just all fall under.
You're 100% right. Love your neighbors, you love yourself, and love God. And if you're doing that, none of the commandments, you can actually get by with none of the commandments being even written. Because you wouldn't do that, like you just said, if you did love, your neighbor and everybody else in the world, which is 100% true. Absolutely. The golden rule is something that, I try my best to live by, but I'm also human and of flesh, and sometimes I can
So
stray from it, but I come back.
going back to your vulture capital, and just a funny story from when I was a kid, right?
Mhm.
I grew up and watched Aladdin because that was my time, right? And Jafar tells Aladdin when he's dressed as the old man that you've never heard of the golden rule, right? Whoever has the gold makes the rules. And so,
I
I
know.
watched this. It reminds me of, when you were just like, yes, I'm going to go after all the money, right? But
Right.
also, so I was in seventh grade or eighth grade, and my teacher asked, "Who knows the golden rule?" And I go, "Oh, I do."
You said that?
I said the Aladdin
Oh.
quote. He couldn't stop laughing. He was really trying to control himself, right? He's laughing at his student.
Right.
But
It's like, Disney, come on, what are you doing?
come on, Disney, help me out here.
That's funny. That's funny.
Sometimes a lot. I actually like a lot of the Disney movies lately are going away from the, you meet Prince Charming and you live happily ever after. Like this is the whole of the script of your life kind of
Right.
storyline. They're like have a purpose of your own as well.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I
Coming these days.
agree. They are starting to do that.
They are, yeah. For your goddaughter, I'm sure you're appreciating that too, that she's getting a different script in her life than.
Well, she's older now, but
Okay.
I would kind of wish that there was a little bit different scripts when she was younger, but that's okay.
Yeah. I've seen so many women think, I need to find my Prince Charming to live life, and I need to have this in order to be a complete person, which I do believe, God created everything. It was good until man was alone. And that's the first time he says that's not good. So we definitely need each other. But, coming together as two whole people with two whole purposes, and then going forward in God.
Absolutely.
I think it's really important.
Absolutely.
And I think with that kind of old Disney storyline, sometimes I think women settle for just anyone.
Companion.
Yeah. Rather than, to me, I believe, like, what other reason would we join our lives to someone forever unless we can do more together than we could apart?
Absolutely. And it's taken me a while, but I found that person.
Yeah.
God's put a few people in my life, a couple marriages. But like the person I'm with now is Susan. She is the exact opposite of me in a sense, which grounds me. She allows me. She's like, we leave each other notes every single morning. You can see these are mornings of notes that she leaves me every morning. She's like, Scott, love our date night. I'm so blessed to be able to spend forever with my soulmate. Blah blah blah. She writes letters every day to me, every single morning, and I do it as well to her. And I started it. So if you're listening, Susan, I did start this. But, she's the exact opposite of me and God. When I pray, it's funny. I used to pray in a different way. Like I'd pray, just ask God, because everyone's like, boldly ask. But then, someone from my church, we were out and I talked to him like, you're worth 7 figures, you have a beautiful wife, you're not fake. Like, what you guys do it? I do it through prayer, man. I pray every day. And I'm like, wow, I pray every day too, but he's just like, use acts, 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 and it's adulation, confession, thanksgiving, and supplication. If you think that if you give God his due, his adulation, and then confess to what you did wrong, and then give him thanks for everything, then the supplication coming and ask boldly. I think that I was being selfish with my prayer a lot, but once I started using acts, Susan came in my life. Boom. It was just bam. She was there. And it was, we're coming up on a year next month, and we don't have a dull day. And it's so fun. And she's, people will joke and go, simple Susan, because she's gorgeous and she's beautiful, but she's just so, oh, shucks, and here's Scott, like, I'm a bull in a china shop when I'm in work mode. You know what I'm saying?
Leveling up everything.
Everywhere. Yeah, everything. I'm like, rah, rah, rah. I have a big heart, but I'm like, that's just how I go. But when I come home, and it's just so funny, we're actually watching Lucifer right now, the show. And it was told to me by the church. They said, you have to watch this.
Really?
Because, it's a different show. And they don't try to downplay the devil and Satan or nothing like that, but it has different meanings of different things about Satan. And So we're watching it, and we're just kind of looking at each other because we're both believers,
Yeah.
but it's entertaining. And then even our pastor up on stage brings up Lucifer once in a while, jokes around like, don't do like Lucifer does on the show and stuff like that. So we're kind of like watching that, but I digress. But like we have a time of our connection every day where we
Wow.
can sit and chill for that hour and maybe or 40 minutes or whatever, because it's on Netflix, and watch it. But we also unplug everything and talk. And we also have a passionate kiss every day. But it all came through, I believe, through the supplication that I started asking for after I gave God his adulation. That makes sense. It's like I did. And ever since I started doing that, business ramped up, this podcast started, everything, people like you came into my life that have just really leveled up every aspect of everything,
And I love how you've been, I think too, one thing that people forget, and myself, my prayer life has really changed, is to listen, the listening side of prayer, right? And you've listened to those promptings God's put on your heart, unplug everything, have the passionate kiss, make sure you're truly connecting every single day. One of my favorite couples that I kind of model things off of is John and Missy Butcher. They wrote the Life Book program with like 12 categories of life, and really knowing your vision in that category, what it's going to take to get there, and what you're willing to do for that vision, right? And one of the things that they do is every day they walk around their large Japanese garden and have at least a half hour. They call it their circle walks of connecting. They have 4 kids, they have grandkids now. And every day for the last 30 something years, they have done their circle walk in their yard every day.
That's awesome.
They have a weekly overnight date, especially when they had the younger kids. They would go to like a hotel. They said when their kids got older, they sent them somewhere so they could enjoy their beautiful home. But that was awesome. Weekly. Then monthly, they had their rituals, and annually they would go like book a spa resort, and they would go over their life book, which is like the 12 categories of their life, so that they continue to grow together in each category, rather than so many couples that, you don't discuss it. You just kind of go about your life and you grow apart. And so they put these rituals in, which is what I see you doing, is you have these rituals that you're always just disconnecting everything during this time. You always are making sure you have intentional communication. And by doing these rituals, the cool thing, I'm a big fan of Lifebook, and they have it, I think, for free right now. So like everybody go out there and get Lifebook. It's amazing. But one of the things like that they talk about is he has this picture of him at 29 and 49, and he looks better at 49 than he did at 29. He was really buff and fit then. And he's like, it's no mistake. It's habits. You create these rituals in your life, and same with his marriage. People see it and they say, this is the steamiest marriage of 30 something years, your grandparents that I've ever seen. You guys are so, passionate about each other. And they're like, it's these rituals that we've put in place in all the categories of our lives. And we have to, as Christians, I believe too, we have to listen to God. What is the ritual that is going to bring me to be the person God wants me to be?
Sure. Absolutely. And silence is God's voice. Like, people forget that. They're like looking for, oh my gosh, show me a sign and stuff like that. No, man, listening, it'll show up if you actually, again, have that gatekeeper in front of your subconscious mind and open it and not expecting it, because God is, God's got his quirks, in lack of a better term. Like, he is like, listen, man, I'm going to provide and you're going to get what you're asking for. It's just, we're going to have a timeline on this, but there's so many lessons between that and getting that are there to learn. So that's why you listen to that silence. And that's, I believe that silence is God's voice.
Absolutely. I go to silent retreats several times a year.
I know. Actually, I remember you actually said that on my show. Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's where you really hear, even honestly, like I can be in an airport and have the temptation to like start surfing my whatever, Instagram stuff. And the moment I just like put down that phone for a few minutes, time and time again, I've had like a great business idea pop up.
Oh my gosh,
or, it's like silence. I saw there's this great YouTube about how boredom is where we create from, right? And we've lost this art of being bored. And it's so true. Like that time, those spaces are the cracks for which the creative light to to come through.
Right. No, you're 100% correct with that. And you just have to be open to it, like you said earlier. And I don't know, if you're not listening for guidance, then again, you're sinning. It's just,
You're missing that
the
mark.
You're missing the mark on that. So no, I appreciate that you said that. But no, I mean, Susan she's fantastic. And, I was, dating a lot younger women, and, God's like, here's somebody that's 7 years older.
Wow.
And we have so much fun,
Amazing.
so much fun. Her kids are 28 to 33,
Wow.
so, I'm 48. So it's like, we have such a connection. It's crazy. It's amazing that I just have it.
I really believe that, especially women of God, a lot of times God blesses us with that beauty, like Sarah, where kings are going after you at 90, right? We look at Sarah in the Bible, and pagan kings were chasing after her, not because of her spirit of God within her, but because she was still beautiful.
She's gorgeous. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I've seen pictures of you. I would have never guessed she's 7 years older. So I'm seeing, post everything.
Yeah, she's gonna kill me. Although, on her birthday this year, I did hashtag double nickels, and like a couple people like, what, 55. So she doesn't very, very open about it, and I'm like, man, I got this hottie that's 55 years old, and
absolutely,
she's smoking. So yeah,
she should be proud. I mean,
She does a lot to take care of herself, though. I mean, she's half Panamanian, so she's got that going on keeps the skin nice and tight and stuff.
Yes.
But like she works out. We're into this thing called Hot Works, which is like it's a gym, but it's all saunas. So you have like different workouts. You have Pilates, you have bar, you have yoga, you have hot cycle, hot blast.
Whoa.
So work out in 130 dry heat in infrared sauna, and she loves it, and I love it. Our skin is.
I love hot yoga, but in the steam sauna.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it reminds me of growing up in the jungle. I remember the first time I did it. I'm like, oh, this is like the jungle, but without mosquitoes.
Without mosquitoes, yeah, absolutely. Well, we have that here in South Florida. It's like jungle-y,
but with
Everglades,
right?
Yeah. With it's funny. Yeah, this mosquito's kind of like the state bird here, but we don't. I don't have that many where we live. I don't know if they're spraying something in the air.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But we don't have that many. Knock on.
And mosquitoes, they don't discriminate. I tell you, I've been at like some of the swankiest places in the south of France, and you see people with their like bottle service of whatever, thousands of dollars. Yeah. Giant mosquito bites.
Giant mosquito bites. That's the thing. They don't like me. They love Susan. So we go out. She's like, this is unfair. She'll have them all over the place. I don't have any.
I've seen them land on my dad's neck, and he gets nothing, and they bite me through my pants. Like, how is this possible?
That's awesome.
But tell us a little bit about your book. It's Your Time to Shine. 5 lessons from powerful mentors to level up your life.
Oh, there's a book.
Who are these mentors? Tell us about this wonderful.
There's a book. No, basically, it's about a gentleman named Logan Fuqua, and basically he is in South Florida, and he's a real estate agent, and he just went through a brutal negotiation process and lost a big real estate deal. He's going to quit. Has 20 years in the business, and he goes to his millennial broker. And is going to quit. Well, the millennial broker says, you know what? My dad said if I was ever going to quit, to call these 5 people.
I have to do what?
To call these 5 people in this book. And so each person has a different lesson that they're teaching Travis. It's kind of in the realm of kind of like a Stephen Farber's Radical Leap, business parable, or Bob Berg's The Go-Giver, kind of like that. And basically there is a trip in the book that I have to make to Scottsdale, Arizona, and in the corporate jet there is somebody that does serve me and has a quick conversation with me, and her name happens to be Reina. Kind of rhymes with somebody I'm talking with right now, and it came from somebody. But on the corporate jet I also meet one of the mentors, and we have a conversation cross country that gets really, really deep. But we have this fantastic top of the line service provider who, as I enter the plane, drops a serious knowledge nugget on me that really will ring true. And, again, Lena rhymes with somebody I'm talking with right now, so I got the inspiration from that somebody. But no, the book it's great. There's a happy ending to it. It's a volume 1, and it's going to follow Travis throughout his life. And the second will have more backstory of Logan's life. His name was Travis. Again, I think I texted you. There's a whole rewrite. They wanted Logan.
That's
so
right.
Logan is a pull forward.
I love it. You're leveling up the book too. You said it's good.
Yeah.
It was already great.
Right.
But it can be better. And I'm going to bring in the team, like we talked about, those tribe of mentors or your multitude of wise counselors. You're bringing in the team to level up the book.
Yeah, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, I just sit there and like, okay, we need to write an antagonist into it, I'm like, so the antagonist it's easy to find antagonists for a realtor that I've did battles with down here. So I picked one. And I'm sure she'll know who it is. And we're really good friends. But when we get into deals, we get battling. So and the thing is me and her husband, we hang out all the time, but when we have to do deals, it's kind of funny. But she's in the book and he knows about it. She knows about it. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. But they're just adding a few things. And honestly, Reina, the book was just a hook, to get me on things like this and whatnot. But now it's turning into something a little bit more. And I'm blessed. I mean, God he's putting the right people in front of me. And I took, recommendations from you for the cover design. This is like 3 months ago. Took recommendations from everybody. It was too wordy or like bring it down. So I took that in. So, I mean, it's gonna be a lot of fun, which is going to lead to some speaking engagements. That is part of my, what I believe that I'm being called to do. And also more coaching clients. So it'll give a little bit of credibility to it. I have this book that's sitting here. Let me see. Is it The Natural Organic Healing?
Yeah.
By my really good friend, has a little excerpt in there.
Yeah.
My good friend is beautiful in red, her favorite color.
Yes, it is.
It's all right here. But no, I blew through your part. I was like, that's amazing. But now I'm starting to read 5 pages a day and of all the other authors in there.
Everybody I've given that book to, a lot of them go out and order just off Amazon. That doesn't even go to me. It just goes to a charity. Like 5, 6 more for other people. And it's not just mine. It's like everyone's contribution in there is really incredible.
Well, full disclosure, I reached out to 2 people in the book, and I have podcast interviews that are going to be lined up with them, because I was like, wow, I mean, if Reina's going to include her name in a book with these people, they're probably people I want to bring on to help others level up their life. So, and
there are a lot of the people we had at the conference too, we pulled in, and we're actually doing probably a second one this fall for just that's the 3rd volume, just the authors from these 3, and there's a 4th coming out book.
Beautiful. Love it.
They're really high quality people in there. It's been an honor to be working with that project. So thanks for bringing it up. And I'm excited to read yours. And I'm really excited of how you're starting to bring in that team to make it, to me, it's sounding like a Paulo Coelho kind of, have you read The Alchemist?
Oh yeah. Right.
Yeah. That journey that you learn all the lessons, but through a really fun story that you can engage with, and it's not like this dry information of the 5 tips you need to do to.
No, it's funny that my go-to book other than the Bible, but is The Traveler's Gift by Andy Andrews, a Christian author. You should get him on the Soul Nutrition.
Yeah. Let's do it.
He wrote The Traveler's Gift. And when my little brother killed himself, I had lost everything. And I was literally, and if my client's listening, I'm just kidding. But no, I had a client that I had a listing on the market, a short sale, and they had left Detroit to move to Florida. And I lived in the house without them knowing it. And I happened to just go out to this network marketing thing. And I love network marketing. I'm a part of network marketing companies, but I was just like, I got sold on, not trying to get sold on something. I didn't have any money to join. He's like, hey, read this book, The Traveler's Gift. And it's a Christian comedian, Andy Andrews. He's a Christian comedian. He's funny.
Andy Andrews.
But he wrote a book, and this guy, David Ponder, lost his job, his 6 to 7 figure a year job. His daughter's dying. Decides to go end it for himself. Runs his car into a tree, and he's transported back to 1940 something before Harry Truman gave the authorization to drop the bomb. And in World War II, And he has a conversation with Harry Truman, and then he's transported to King Solomon and has a conversation with King Solomon about wisdom. He's transported to Anne Frank about being happy even in the worst of times, transported to Abraham Lincoln about making the tough decisions, so he's transported to 7 different people about leveling up his life. So when he comes out of his coma or whatever he's in, it's a different story. It's kind of like I ripped it right from his book. I'm not going to lie.
There's only 7 storylines that even exist. So
exactly. And that's exactly right. I mean, you look at Tony Robbins, everyone loves him. And I love the guy. Yeah. But he got everything from Jim Rohn, who got everything from Earl Nightingale, who got everything from Wallace Wallace, all the way back to Marcus Aurelius.
And they all got, exactly, way back. Yeah. We look at, I love studying the Stoics, Epictetus, because that's...
Who's your favorite, if you don't mind me asking?
I think the one that I've studied the most is Epictetus.
Epictetus, yeah.
I don't know why. I think I was just given more books by Epictetus.
I resonate with Seneca. Seneca and me could hang out any day.
Socrates down here. Right behind me.
Seneca was never held office, never in the military. He was just a rich dude.
Yeah.
Like made bank. But his philosophies about, listen, man, it ain't about this money. I just have fun making this money. Yeah. It's about life in general. And he's so funny. Have you ever read Ryan Holiday's book, The Daily Stoic?
But I think I've seen it. I'm writing down all your book recommendations now.
It is. You read, it's a chapter a day, and they're only like 1 or 2 pages, but he has like a Stoics quote and then a breakdown of what it is and how you can apply it to your life. And Ryan Holiday is like the modern day Stoic. He's awesome. And I'm still efforting to get him on my podcast. If you're listening, Ryan, come on. But it's awesome. But he breaks down everything from Epictetus to Seneca to Marcus Aurelius to Diogenes to like all of them. They're so fun. Yeah,
I think I originally started studying Stoicism from Tim Ferriss. He would talk about it a lot.
Oh yeah.
I love 4 Hour Workweek. I've probably read it a dozen times now. I've lived a life because of that, where I was being paid to travel and have this new kind of lifestyle that exists. And then applying those principles, I would follow his blogs and everything. He'd always talk about Stoicism, and that kind of, and I really feel we can go back to Jesus and that surrender, of not hanging on to every outcome and not being so attached to what we think is going to be the best outcome is when we're happiest. And I think sometimes some things in Stoicism go like a little too far for me. I think I was reading, I think it was Epictetus, and it was like, if your wife dies, you just consider it another person dying in the world. You don't think of it as a personal thing. And I'm like,
yeah, dude.
Too far.
Yeah. No. Epictetus could be pretty brutal.
Yeah.
In Marcus Aurelius, I resonate with him because of his military isms.
Yeah.
But Seneca, Diogenes, Aristotle, even Socrates.
Yeah, you said Seneca's your favorite, right?
Yeah, Seneca.
We'll have to go check out more Seneca.
Right
after this, everybody. I'm going. You guys go to the Time to Shine website. I will go study some Seneca.
This is his actually the chapter today was from Seneca. Let fate find us prepared and active. Here is the great soul, the one who surrenders to fate. The opposite is the weak and degenerate one who struggles with and has poor regard for the order of the world and seeks to correct the faults of the gods rather than their own. So basically the name of the chapter is prepared and active, but then you have the Seneca, and then Ryan breaks it down in like a 1-pager. And basically he's just saying that don't seek to correct other people, correct yourself. Look inward and correct it. So that's awesome that he puts a quote from Seneca in here or Epictetus or whatnot, and then breaks it down. So it made it fun for me to learn the Stoics instead of sitting there because I read Meditations and I fell asleep every time. I mean, I would make it through it.
Yeah.
But I'd be like, oh my gosh, Marcus, where are you coming from?
Great if you have insomnia. You just read it. I love the name of that chapter of the book. Actually, I was thinking about how outcomes that I've let go of have come back to me like boomerangs, right? We talk about when I became a private flight attendant, someone told me, you're going to need 10 years of experience, all these thousands of dollars to do it. And I just said, I'll pray about it. I went about another course that I thought I was being called to. And in the midst of pursuing that, I got the best job on the best plane with the best.
Yeah, I remember you told me that story.
Right.
That's
With
awesome.
No experience of the 10 years, and they paid all the money that I needed for all those certs. And then I look at now, I was telling you earlier about an opportunity I've got to be in private aircraft sales and business marketing and things. And that's something I've wanted to do way back. I had done some marketing for a charter company almost 10 years ago. And I wanted to get into the actual sales of the aircraft and business development of that and create a company.
Brokering aircraft, or is it?
Of a private aircraft. So
okay, gotcha.
The kind of like the private jet you fly on in your book, right? Like selling these to the customer, or like right now we're doing sustainable aircraft. So companies like Google, Apple that are out there promoting, taking care of our planet. But if they're flying around old jets, it's like driving around a 1970s gas guzzler instead of a Prius, right? The new aircraft are like Prius, and you can use different fuels. And so again, I kind of let go of that dream and said, okay, maybe I'll never do that in aircraft sales again.
But you planted the seed. I
planted the seed, and 10 years later, it kind of boomerangs around to this opportunity that I was like, oh,
love it.
Yes.
Hey, you never studied Seneca?
Not, I don't think I've read
like a full book Seneca.
I will.
Listen to this. Your knowledge nuggets are, number one, learning to pause and really enjoy slower seasons will allow you to level up. Number two, give yourself periods of both rest and running. Okay. Tomorrow's lesson within the Daily Stoic is called Take a Walk. This is from Seneca on tranquility of the mind. This is Seneca. We should take wandering outdoor walks so that the mind might be nourished and refreshed by the open air and deep breathing.
Love that.
Learning to pause and really enjoy slower seasons will help you level up. Give yourself periods of both rest and running. You are Seneca, woman. You got to read it.
Yeah, so, again, I really attribute it to.
It right here. I even highlighted it for you.
Has read tons of Seneca, and I just got that kind of like you were saying. We have, and I had Tony Robbins. When I was young, I think I started stealing my mom's Tony Robbins CDs when I was like 16.
Right.
I would like open the packages, so that they wouldn't be noticed that they were gone, and then I'd like listen to it, come back.
That's awesome.
And so, like you said, like all these guys had read Seneca, all these, and I was getting it from them. And then now, as I've gotten older, and I start going, wait, hey, Waddles said that, like Jim Rohn said that, and then Waddles said that, and then Seneca said that, and Epictetus and Socrates, like it's been there all along. I really, I probably wouldn't have dropped out of college if I was studying philosophy.
Sure. Yeah. I probably would go to college if I could study philosophy. I never really went.
The only thing is, like, as far as like philosophy, it's like, okay, I could get a piece of paper, or I could just read all those things, and not spend $100,000 to do it.
Yeah, exactly. But just like, I would like to see if they have something even at Palm Beach State. I was talking to Susan about it the other day. I'm like, I want to see if they have some kind of philosophy class at Palm Beach State, like just a JC college here, because I would go spend an hour a night a week in with those people just to hang out with them and hear what their thoughts are, because a lot of them don't take action on leveling up their life. I know this because
they just sit around and talk about it, right?
Exactly. Where me, I want to see. I mean, Seneca was worth what Rockefeller would have been worth. Maybe. You know what I'm saying? That guy was, he ended up getting killed.
I lived Seneca. What can I say?
Yeah, exactly. There you go. But no, what you've said in our relationship, our friendship that is started in the last 3 or 4 months, and also just the podcast interview I did with you resonates so much with him. And I would just pick up the book, The Daily Stoic. I think
I'm going to as soon as we get off.
It takes 3 minutes. Every day to read.
Where can everybody find you? Time to Shine.
Oh yeah, we got to go. TimeToShineToday.com is, you can find that. Facebook page is Time to Shine Today. Instagram's Time to Shine Today. Website again, timetoshinetoday.com. I would put a /podcast because the rest of the website just kind of like is not really being leveled up because of the podcast just exploding and growing up.
Yeah.
And blowing up with that stuff. So just go check out, like, especially episode 60. Go back and check out episode 60 where my phenomenal, beautiful, awesome sauce friend is on there with a fantastic interview. But no, that's there. And if you want to reach out, you can text our company at 561-440-3830. And we'd be happy to put you in touch with everything's confidential. We'll put you in touch with who you need to be put in touch with. We have, again, a coaching and a connection carousel of people to really help you level up.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. I'm immensely grateful for you, Reina. You're awesome. Love your guts so much.
Yeah, it's been such a pleasure having you on, Scott. And I can't get enough of Scott Ferguson, and I know that you all can't either. So make sure you check out the websites, check out the social media pages, and definitely text that number for anything that you need. Because I tell you, even just being a guest on Scott's podcast, I learned so much just from the process because he's so detail oriented. He's so great at making sure everything is dialed in a way that you just show up and it's all handled. And so I encourage you, go check out all those sites, text the number, and get whatever resources you can. Be on his mailing list so you know when that book is coming out, because you are going to really benefit from that. And I thank you all for watching. As always, may the Lord bless and keep you, cause his face to shine upon you, and nourish your soul.